Hey, so I am just going to continue and finish up a little bit extra with this lesson. This is the second part of percentages. And as I was talking earlier about the formula A is equal to PW, I know we're going to need that later, but I'm going to show you how you can use it really easy with percentages also. And so in the earlier video, I had shown you how to find the part because you were given a percentage and you were given the total amount. So when I say 25% of 68, you know that you could have done 25% could have been 2500 times 68 in order for you to find that part, which is A. Okay. But there are times when, as I was saying earlier, you might have to find the percentage, or you may have to find the whole because the part is given to you. So we are going to work on that. Now, I know right now, your calculations can be pretty clear cut and easy, just showing the proportion method. But later on, that formula is going to be the key to success. And I'm telling you, it is really simple. I'm just going to show you how you can apply it so you start getting ready with it and use it more so it sticks here. Okay. So we are going to solve two problems with the same indicator, which is indicator 20. And we are talking about, look at the learning target. I can calculate the whole when given the part and percent. Okay. So we've done percent of a number and that number was given. But now we are going to do other problems, like, for example, look at the first one. It says 18 football players arrived early to practice. This was 60% of the team. How many players were on the team? Okay, now you've done proportions before, so I'm going to show you in the proportion method, and then I'm going to show you with the formula A is equal to PW. Some of my kids absolutely jump in. They love that formula because it's clear cut, easy to use, and they understand. And I know it will make even more sense after we have done Unit 7 when I teach you equations and how to solve equations. However, I'm going to throw this at you already so you understand. Okay, so 18 football players arrived early to practice. Okay, so 18 players arrived early to practice. Okay, this was 60% of the team. How many players were on the team? So if you're talking about 18 players, we are going to put at over how many players, because that's what this is. So 18 players over the total amount of players. Okay, total players, because that's what we're trying to find. We're making a proportion. Remember, players over players. And then we are going to do, this is, so we're going to make a proportion is equal to 60%. Okay, now you can write 60 over 100, or you can write 3/5 as a fraction. Both will work. Okay, so let's say I do 60 over 100 because that is 60%. All right, and I'll also show you how to do it as a fraction in simplest form in a minute. And so when I have a proportion, you remember that from the previous unit, this numerator times this denominator and this numerator times this denominator. So that is how we find a proportion. Okay, now so if I do this times this is equal to this times this. All right, so 60 times x, I get 60x is equal to 18 times 100. Okay, and so since this is attached to the variable, this means multiplication, and in order to solve this I have to do the opposite, which is the division property of equality, and we'll get to that when we get to unit 7. Okay, but just now you just need to know that since this is attached, we are dividing both sides by 60, and 60 divided by 60 gives me 1, so I'm left with x is equal to, now I can simplify before I multiply. I know 100 divided by 10 is 10. 60 divided by 10 is 6. Okay, then I can look at this and like, okay, I still have 18, which is divisible by 6. Okay, so I have 6 times 1 and 3 times 6 is 18. So now I'm left with 3 times 10, which is 30 over 1. Okay, so this is the simplified 6. So this is 1. Okay, so x is equal to total players would be 30 players. So this is one way to solve it. Okay, you could have also done same thing. 18 over x is equal to 60 over 100, as we had done earlier. 60 over 100 is, so we are dividing by 10. I get 6 over 10, and then I divide by 2, and I get 3/5. So 3/5 in the simplest form. Okay, I could have just written it like this. Okay, and now we're doing cross products again. This times this is equal to this times this, and then I get 3x is equal to 5 times 8 is 40, 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 is 90, because 18 times 5. So if you want me to write it, I can do it this way. 18 times 5, because we can simplify here also. Okay, and then I do, all right, so this is multiplication, opposite is division. I'm going to divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so x is equal to, this is 1, and this is going to be 3 times 6, and 6 times 5 gives me 30 players. So this is another way to do it. And then the last way I'm going to show you is the formula method that I had talked to you about. Okay, so let me go ahead, and I am going to remove this part because I want you to see all 3 methods. Okay, so I'm going to write it over here. And remember, we said A is equal to PW. All right, this is part of the whole. This is part of the whole. This is the percentage in decimal or fraction form. And this is the whole. Okay, so first thing that you need to do is you need to figure out which one is A. Do we have A? Do we have B? Do we have W? So if I'm looking at 18 football players arrived early to practice, this was part of the whole, because this is part of the team. It's not all the players. Okay, my percentage is going to be 60%, which as a decimal is written as 60/100. And the whole is what we are trying to find out. So now we are going to write it in this format. A is 18 is equal to P is 60/100 times W. So times W can be written like this. Okay, and so when I'm writing it like that, now this is the one which is attached to the variable. So I'm going to divide both sides by 60/100. 18 divided by 60/100, and then here we go. 18 divided by 60/100. Remember, your divisor cannot have a decimal, so I'm going to move it 2 places to the right, and same thing here, 2 places to the right, and that gives me 1800 divided by 60. Okay, so that is, I'm just going to remove this, guys. All right, this is 1800 divided by 60. And then I know that 3 times 6 is 18, and then I have a 0, 3 times 0, so this gives me 180. 3 times 60 is 180, and I get a 0. Don't forget to bring this 0 down and add that here. So look, same answer. I still end up with 30 players. So you can do the A is equal to PW formula. That works perfectly fine. So it's an introduction. I'm telling you, you're going to see a lot of that later. Or you can do this proportion method to find out if this is missing, what is that the other one going to be. All right. So you could have also done 18 times what gives me 60. Okay, so that is one way to do it. 18 times what gives me 60. And so if I calculate, well, I just don't want to make it more fun, but you could have done this times this, whatever this is. This is going to be the opposite, so this is going to be division. Okay, so this could have been multiplication. But or you could have done 60 divided by 18, and so same thing divided by this. So there are so many different methods that this can be done. But right now, let's just focus on this so that you understand how to find the missing value. Okay, now let's do another problem so that you understand this. And I can start out with the A is equal to PW right now, or whatever works. So Miranda is cleaning 18 dishes out of her 20 dishes. So all right, let me get to the proportion method first, okay? So 18 dishes, remember same thing over same thing, because that is how you form a proportion. 18 dishes over 20 dishes. So if you have dishes here, is equal to what percent? So we don't know this X, we don't know. Percent always has a denominator of 100. Okay, so percentage is what we are trying to find out over here. So then in this case, again, remember cross products. This times this is equal to this times this. And 20 times X gives me 20X is equal to 18 times 100. Now you can write 1800. That is perfectly fine. Or I can do simply, I can divide both sides by 20, because opposite of multiplication is division, and whatever is attached to the variable is what we're trying to get rid of, because we're trying to see what 20 times what number is going to give me 1800. Okay, so whatever I do on one side of the equation, I do the same thing on the other side. And 20 divided by 20 is 1. 1 times X, any number times 1 gives that number. So X is that number, the variable, times 1 will give me X. Okay, is equal to, I'm going to simplify over here straight up. Okay, and then if I do, okay, this is 20 times 5 is 100. And then I'm just left with 18 times 5, which gives me 90. So if this is 90 up here, that's what 90% is my answer. Okay, so this is one way to do it. All right, you could have also done 1800 divided by 20 and done it that way and still get the same answer. And then the A is equal to PW. Okay, so let's see what we have. All right, so we have the A because we have 18. Percentage is what we don't have. Okay, and then we have the whole, because the whole is what? Total number of dishes would be 20. Okay, so if I wrote the formula out, I have 18 is equal to P times 20. Okay, I'm just using the formula. Now, since this is multiplication, this could also be written as 20p, but if you wrote it like this, that is fine, because we are just dividing both sides, because opposite of multiplication is division. And I get 20 divided by 21, so therefore my percentage is equal to, if I divide 18 by 20, let me see where the camera is going to turn a little bit here. Okay, so if I divide 18 by 20, remember to put the decimal behind the whole number so you know where the decimal is going to go. Decimal above decimal. This is not going to go by 20 because it's smaller, so I annex a 0. And then I have 9 times 2 is 18. Now you've done in the lesson before, in order to convert a decimal to a percentage, you have to move the decimal place value 2 places to the right. So if it's at 9/10, I go 1, I go 2. That gives me 90%. Okay, so this is how you calculate the other values. So if it's asking, for example, Miranda is cleaning 18 dishes out of her 20 dish collection. What percentage is that? So the percentage would be 90%. And this is how I calculate it. So you can use either the cross products method, or you can use the formula A is equal to PW. You've got to know which is part of the whole, which is A. You've got to know that P stands for percentage and the W stands for the whole. And then you just substitute the values and then you can simplify or use the proportion method. So this now concludes indicator 20, which is all about percentages. And this concludes your unit 5. Have a fabulous day, guys.